Okay, good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is fine. So today's agenda, like I said previously, like we will be continuing the profile section. So we discussed little bit more yesterday about what is profile and how F5 identifies what type of traffic is coming, whether it's a TCP traffic, HTTP traffic, FTP traffic, SSL traffic, or it can be your LDAP radius authentication traffic. So profile is one concept which makes F5 intelligent. It helps F5 to identify what type of traffic is coming. So today we will discuss one by one with the lab, like we will discuss SSL profile, we will discuss persistence profile. So if I say what is profile, it basically helps you to identify traffic behavior. It helps F5 to identify the traffic behavior. If someone asks you what is profile, don't get confused. You can just give them the example. It helps to identify the traffic behavior. So it profile tells a virtual server how to process packet. So let's say I have a client coming to F5, then I have server 1, server 2, server 3. So profile is one section which tells your F5 or a virtual server on how to process packet. So that is a simple meaning of profile. So let's continue further on. We discussed different agendas, like we have TCP profile, we have SSL profile, we have HTTP, then cookie persistence. Then we discuss service profiles, persistence profile, what are those, protocol, SSL, and authentication. So these are the categorization where profiles are being divided. Some profiles comes under your service profile, some comes under your persistence profile. So that is how it helps you. Now, one of the important term, guys, you need to take care is that let's say you create one virtual server can have multiple profiles, right? It can have TCP profile, it can have HTTP profile, it has SSL profile. So I will show you. So through live agenda, I will show you. If I go here, when I log in, when I go here on local traffic virtual server, guys, if you see this virtual server, these are the profile sections. So you can see client profile, server profile, HTTP profile, FTP profile, SSL. So what I can say is multiple profiles can be assigned to one virtual server. Because see, first of all, when let's say someone wants to access HTTPS traffic on the URL SIANETS.com, in that case, what comes first? There will be TCP handshake comes. So that is done by TCP profile. After that, SSL comes into picture, right? In that case, your client SSL profile comes into picture. So that is what is called multiple profiles can be assigned to single virtual server depending on the traffic behavior on client side connection or server side. So I will refresh this. See, TCP profile, HTTP, FTP, SSL. You can also use SMTP, LDAP, all are there. Let's say I want to process SMTP traffic. Then I need SMTP profile. So your virtual server can have multiple profile depending on the client side connection or server side. Depending on the customer requirement, you can call multiple profiles. So that is all profile sections where you need to see. F5 is not intelligent. I'm again saying, to make it powerful, profile is the part. To define traffic behavior, I receive a traffic from client. F5 should know how to process the packet, right? So that is how profile helps. Simple definition, you will never forget. Now guys, like monitors, we had two types of monitors, right? One was default monitor and one was custom. So guys, this is very important concept. You should know default and custom. What does it mean? In profile also, there are two terms. One is default profile and one is custom profile. So default profiles means when you install your F5 from scratch, there are default profiles which are available, which you can use it. Custom means which you can customize. Let's say in my TCP profile, I need to change some keep alive timeout. Or let's say I want to define some interval timeout, custom interval timeout. I need to increase it. By default, monitor has 5-second interval and 15-second timeout. Maybe customer wants to increase that timeout. So that is called custom profile. And guys, what does default means? And there is a term here, guys, never, never, never touch default profile. Don't play with it. Why this term is important? Never, never play with default profiles or monitors. Why? Anyone? Because let's say I have a TCP profile default. So how you can see default profiles? You need to go to local traffic profile section. So see, it has been categorized into service profile, content profile, persistence, protocol, SSL authentication. So there are different terms. So can you see this? HTTP profile. If you see this HTTP profile, that is a default profile. And if I open this profile, see, I am saying don't touch, don't do any changes on this profile. Why? Let's say I have TCP profile. Maybe let's say some customer want idle timeout to be increased. Instead of 5 minutes, they want to increase idle timeout of their application. So that is called custom profile. But why we cannot touch? Why we cannot touch it? Why we cannot touch with default profile? Can you tell anyone? Let's say I have 10 virtual server. 1, 2, 3. There are 3 virtual server which customer wants to deploy. This virtual server is also using TCP profile. This virtual server is also using TCP profile. This virtual server is also using TCP profile. Now, one customer says that I want to increase some idle timeout on my SIANETS.com, but I don't want to change custom timeout on, let's say, google.com, aws.com. I don't want to change, but I want to change this profile. So you tell me, guys, if this URL only wants, this application only want to increase some timeout value, idle timeout value. If I change this profile, guys, will it get changed for this application and this application also? Now the requirement is only for this TCP profile which is applied on this virtual server, I need to change this timeout value. But for all other virtual servers or URL, I want to use default timeout. But if I change here, guys, idle timeout to 400 seconds, let's say, will it get changed for this URL, or this URL? This will get changed on all URLs. So that is why don't change default TCP profile, because it can impact multiple URLs, because maybe that TCP profile is called on other virtual server also, right? Virtual server 1, virtual server 2. So what is the ideal way to do it? You need to create custom TCP, change the value of idle timeout to 400 second and call on that virtual server 1. For rest, it should be TCP only. So what I am saying is, let's say I have 3 virtual server. This one is using TCP, that is fine. This one is using TCP. Now another virtual server, this one wants to use timeout. They want to increase timeout. So what I will do is, I will go here, profile. I will go to protocol TCP, click on plus. Here I can give TCP custom profile. Now here click on only that value which want to change. See, here can you see this? This is default profile. All the settings it is taking from default, that is called parent also. This you can say child profile. So most of the things, all the things will be inherited. Whatever you want to change settings, you just click on that and change it so that others don't get changed. Very, very important term. So there is a concept of parent or default profile. And when you say custom profile, when you create new profile, that is called child profile. All the settings mostly will be taken by default profile or a parent profile. If you want to change certain parameter, then only click on that so that others don't get changed. So I want to increase idle timeout. So what I will do, I will just increase 400 seconds. I will just finish. Now I will go to virtual server. I will just go to this virtual server and here I will select TCP custom. So default profile are generally associated. Custom profile you can create based on default profile only. That's it. So in that case, what happened, guys? I created one custom TCP profile and I applied on whatever virtual server. Timeout setting needs to be 400 seconds. Other virtual servers, they can use default TCP. It will not impact, right? So that is the best practice. Don't touch default profile. That's where I was saying you. Custom profile you can play and call it. It's your choice. But don't play with default profile. That is my main agenda. Now, guys, and another important term. When you have OSI layer, let's say your virtual server you have created, you have called TCP profile. You cannot call UDP profile because at same layer, only one profile can be associated. Either virtual server can process TCP packet or a UDP packet. The same way it applies on other layer also. If I have a virtual server with HTTP, I cannot call FTP profile on that. Means same layer profiles, protocol profiles cannot be called. Because HTTP and FTP are both layer 7, but both are different functions. But cookie is a part of HTTP that you can call. But protocols cannot be called together. See, some profiles are dependent on others. Let's say I create a cookie profile. Cookie profile depends on HTTP, but HTTP does not depend on FTP. So same layer profiles you cannot call. Very, very important thing you need to remember. Then that is what, see, your virtual server, let's say I want to apply DNS traffic. Okay, there is a DNS traffic. DNS traffic has 53 port. It can access on TCP, it can access on UDP also. But I need to create two virtual server for it. One with TCP profile, one with UDP. That is important. Some profiles are dependent, but thinking in terms of OSA layer, some can combine in one VS. If I create a virtual server with TCP, you will tell that, hey, sir was telling that multiple profiles can be called on virtual server. But I was telling you, if you have TCP, you can call HTTP and SSL. But same layer protocol profiles you cannot call. So I will give you an example. If I have a TCP profile, is there any option for calling UDP? Can you see? I can either call TCP, UDP or SCTP, but I cannot call, see, same layer protocol. This is TCP. I cannot call UDP. Are you getting me? Now, to call UDP, I need to create a new virtual server. I will say UDP DNS. I will say 192.168.1.80, port number, let's say 53. I will give just 53. Now, if I call here protocol UDP, see, TCP will get removed. There is no option to call TCP. Are you getting me? If someone says you very good interview question, people can ask. If I need to create DNS application on my F5, how many virtual servers I need to create? DNS learns on two protocol, right? 53 TCP also, 53 UDP also. So I need to create one virtual server or two virtual server, anyone? I have 53 TCP, 53 UDP. So do I need to create one virtual server or two virtual server? I am again saying that, guys, you can't combine two protocol together. Just remember this diagram. Some can't be combined. Virtual server can have multiple profiles like TCP, HTTP, and SSL. But virtual server at same layer, you can have either TCP or UDP. You can have either HTTP or FTP. Very important term, guys. You will never forget if you remember this picture. So in that case, what do you require? I require one virtual server with DNS TCP. IP will be same. Virtual servers, you can have multiple virtual server with same IP. But port will be TCP here. Another virtual server 192.168.1.60, 53 port on UDP. This is the best use case of this. Like, you cannot combine TCP and UDP together, guys. So that is important. This is a very important term. So now let's go further on. I wanted to give up 2 minutes here so that you can understand by example. Now, if I want to create HTTP and FTP, I will give you example. When you have HTTP, guys, let's say I create TCP with HTTP. I will give here HTTP. See, you will see, I give HTTP here. FTP will get removed. You cannot, it's blurred. I cannot do it. I need to create a separate FTP virtual server and separate HTTP virtual server. So I can create two virtual server, one with 192.168.1.60 on 21 port, one virtual server, same IP you can give, but port is different. 80. See, one server can host multiple application. It's same example. One server can be listening on HTTP and FTP. But if I need to create virtual server, I need to create two separate virtual server. I cannot call FTP here, right? So if I go here, virtual server, here, can you see this? If I select FTP, HTTP option, I cannot, it's none. So that is where, see, there are different profile, right? One is protocol profile. It helps to define behavior related to L4. There is an application layer profile that is called layer 7, which processes application layer traffic. But on same application layer traffic, you cannot combine two protocols together. So let's go further on. See, default profiles cannot be deleted and should not be modified. Very, very important term, guys. Remember this, it will really help in production also, guys. Don't touch this, please. Again saying, this is my personal experience. Never touch default profile. I have given you a live example. If some settings needs to be changed on particular profile, let's say TCP, HTTP, create a custom profile. See, I have shown you, right? Let's say I have a parent profile, TCP. I will create custom TCP and some properties it will inherit from this. And this can become also parent for this another profile. So it's an inheritance property. Another profile can be parent of another sub profile. See, maybe I want this profile to take inheritance from this. For this child, this will be parent. Let's say this is my child profile. I want some properties to be taken from this. So that will become parent. See, virtual server all have, let's say, standard virtual server with TCP. You can create standard virtual server with UDP. And we discussed this, right? Types of virtual server. So if someone asks you what profile is called on your performance layer for, you can say fast L4. What profile is applied on standard TCP protocol virtual server? Then you can say TCP. Very, very important interview question. So as I promised, I will keep telling you what are most important terms you can write on your notebook. So how to create a profile? Let's go now. So profiles, first you will create a profile, then you will call on your virtual server. So how to create a profile, guys? You need to go to local traffic profile section. So here you can go. Local traffic profiles. All the profiles will be created here. Okay, guys. So now let's go further on to discuss topics. See, very important term. All the things, let's say I want to create custom profile. So parent profile, most of the settings will be inherited from parent. But if custom, let's say if custom you have select, let's say this one, that property it will not inherit from parent. Only these two terms, guys, you need to remember. First, default profile, never touch any settings, never modify. And let's say if you want to create a custom profile and you don't want some properties should be inherited from parent profile, in that case, click on custom box and you can change it. So now, guys, types of profile comes into picture. First one is a persistence profile. So let's discuss this. So now we will discuss one by one terms. We have discussed SSL, TCP, UDP. Now there are subparts which are very important. First profile comes persistence. So what does persistence means, guys? Right now in IT technology or internet technology, there are HTTP protocol. Your applications are web-based application. You know that all the application are nowadays web-based application. In that case, what you need to do is you have protocol. By default, HTTP is a stateless protocol. Very important term, stateless and stateful. There are two terms when we talk about persistence. Stateless means that you have a user who is accessing web application. My web application is SIANETS.com. Let's say user accesses home page, then he go to about page, then he is checking about F5 LTM syllabus. Maybe he want to see what we are teaching in course content. So user visited multiple sub pages, right? In main URL, user first went to home page, then user went to about page, then user went to course content, and finally he want to contact us. So in that case, guys, user is going to do different transaction, right? Different pages he is accessing at a moment. But when I talk about HTTP protocol, by default, it is called stateless. Stateless means there is no record of previous interaction between user and web application. So no one knows, maybe server does not know what was happening or user does not know of the previous action. So each interaction is unrelated. In that case, guys, first request might be, let's say I have 3 servers. I have one user, I have F5, I have 3 servers. In that case, guys, one user maybe come initially. After that, later on, he will want to visit F5 LTM course content. Then he went to same user is going to multiple server for multiple transaction. Simple meaning. He is coming later on to check another thing. So it is the same user, but it is going to multiple server. Why? Because there is no record. HTTP by default is stateless. It does not have a track what was the previous interaction, which user was it. Now here comes stateful application, guys, which is called persistence. So simple definition of persistence is it makes your HTTP protocol stateful. What does it means is persistence profile helps client request go to same backend server for duration of a session. Whatever he is doing, session can contain multiple, right? Session is one. Session can have multiple HTTP requests. So until, or you can say until this user complete a task or a transaction, it will bind to a sticky. I hope you know about sticky session. So until a transaction is completed, your same client will always go to the same server throughout a session until a transaction is completed. That is what we needed, right? In this application world, when you have a banking application, right? In banking application, what happens? First, you log in. Then you, let's say you want to do funds transfer. Let's say then you want to add, before funds transfer, you want to add payee. right? You want to add payee. After that, you do funds transfer. In all this transaction, whole transaction, you want your client to go to same server, right? If he, let's say in between this connection lost, then he will go to same server too. Then he needs to again log in, which I don't want, right? So stateful means there will be a stickiness. My one user will be bind to one server only at a time. So it will direct a same client request to the same backend server throughout a session until a task is completed. Simple meaning. So what I will say is I will give you an example now. Let's draw a picture. I have a user. I have a web server. My web server is SIANETS.com. Now user wants to go to I have an application vncph.courses.store. In that case, what happens is when you go to this website, first, let's say I want to buy, let's say now I will go here on my website, vncph. This is my portal, video portal. Here I want to buy, let's say CCNA course, or maybe let's say I want to buy this course, F5 LTM interview questions and series. I want to buy this. So in that case, what it will do? First, the user will go to this website. I will just go to this diagram again to explain you. So first, let's say I wanted to go to vncph.courses.store. Then I will add F5 LTM course. So let's say there is an ID number assigned to is, let's say 123. Then I added this course. Now guys, your web server will give you this course. You buy it, you do. Now again, the same user wants to buy F5 ASM, where ID number is 456. That is also added on your cart. So you added in cart LTM, you added in cart ASM, both videos you added in your cart. So until you complete your transaction, you buy everything, your all request will go to the same server. It will not break your transaction. That is what happening on your flipkart.com also, right? Now you will come to know that in flipkart.com how your items are present in your cart by default. Have you ever wondered like how they store items in your cart when you log in again or when you come next time also? Let's say you selected mobile, let's say you selected purse. It's been added by default. So by default, it maintains your state throughout your transaction stickiness. Are you getting me? Your web core, you have e-commerce application, right? E-commerce application might have many product pages, shopping cart item. Then you need to pay. Such transaction needs to be stateful transactions. Are you getting me? Session. What is session mean, guys? Someone will ask you what is session. So session is basically helps to maintain the state between multiple user interaction. Multiple user interaction means same user wants to interact with web server, but it has first he will access the product page. Let's say I want to mobile. I will go to mobile page. Then I will add item to shopping cart. Then I will pay. So that all transactions are called sessions. So session is basically maintaining state. When a user connects server for us first time, that is called session. Are you getting me? User connects to a server, right? Then one session gets created. Now that session is created on your memory, server memory. There will be some server where that session ID will be created and it will associated with connection. Now sometimes like I hope I will give you one more good use case. Sometimes guide, let's say I have a website sianets.com. I need to find that how many people are interested in my F5 LTM course. How many people are interested in my F5 ASM course? How many people are interested in my Polo Alto course? Are you getting me? There are some marketing technologies where I want to come to know that how many users visited my website in one day. How many clicks are there? That all comes under your session. There should be some, right? Your website developer, let's say flipkart.com, manyavar.com, let's say how when you access any website, right? Let's say today you went and you just selected one watch, but you did not buy it. Now you will go to another website. Second day you open any website, again that watch advertisement will come. Correct. Even you did not buy watch, it will give you that you previously visited this website, this watch you selected it, but you didn't buy. It will give you pop-up, pop-up, pop-up. So that is called state management or sessions. And why it is helpful, guys? Because I don't want my user who is connected to F5. I have 3 servers. I don't want same user throughout a transaction should go to this server or this server, because it will break your connection. I don't want that. Until all transaction is completed, until checkout is completed, simple meaning, I want same users to go to the same server. So here comes the persistence profile where F5 will store your data. It will make sure that multiple client connections go to the same server. Now, first persistence, guys, which comes into picture is source address persistence. So what does source address persistence means? Let's give an example. Let's say I have one user with this IP address. I have one user with this IP address. I have one user with this IP address. Now I want any request coming from this client IP. It should go to green server. Any request coming from this IP, multiple requests may be coming from this IP, it should always go to blue server. So source address persistence helps connection from a specific source IP to go to the specific pool member. Until my timeout is, there is a timeout setting guide. After that, it can go to the second server. But until my timeout is expired, that same client, if that IP, F5 will see, oh, this client has, I have a record that this IP, let's say 1.1.1.1 is connecting to server 1. Now another request come from here. F5 will see its table. There is called persistence table. I will show you. In that case, there will be an IP address of a client and on which server or pool member it has connected. So the next time, if further request coming from same client, it will go to the same server. So how we will do? We will do a lab now. I will have a one window machine. I will go here on this Windows machine. I will make it on my external network. You can also do. Now I will just go here, quit. I will go to my IPv protocol. I will obtain IP address automatically. Now what I will do, I have two machines, okay? I will show you. I have one client here, one client of my laptop. So you can do the same use case. Now let's see the IP address. This IP address is 192.168.1.15. My XP machine has IP address 192.168.1.15. Now let me see what is my IP address. My IP address is 192.168.1.7. Now I have F5, I have red, green, blue server, and I will enable source address persistence. Let's do a lab and we will see if any customer connects to this IP, it goes to red server, and any come, it goes to blue server. But here is one question. I will show you. I will discuss that. But first in let's do. My question here is guys, initially guys, when client connects to F5, very important term guys, it will not have a database or a persistence table, right? Because it's a new client. In that case, F5 can select any server. On which basis it will select, guys? Let's say if it's a new client, F5 will first check, is this client present in my persistence table? F5 says no. Now it will go to which server, guys? Anyone? My question, simple question is very, very, very important. It's a new client coming to F5. Let's say my website is SIANETS.com. F5 will first check persistence table, whether this IP is already present. If it says, the F5 says, I don't have that. Now what it will follow initially, guys? It will follow load balancing algo. Let's say now it bind to red server. Now next time, guys, it comes, F5 will check it. Oh, this client is already connected to red server. I will forward request to red server. So guys, if it's an existing user, then it will refer persistence table. If it's a new user, then it will follow load balancing algo. That is only I wanted to explain. If it's a new request, first it will follow load balancing algo. If it's an existing user, then it will check your persistence table. And accordingly, it will transfer data to that server. Okay, guys, so let's do the lab. I will go into my F5. You can do the lab with me if you want. I will log in. I will go to persistence, profile, persistence. Can you see source address persistence? I'm again showing you. I will go to profile, persistence, source address. I was talking about this timeout, guys. So what does timeout mean? I have this client 192.168 1.15. I have this client 192.168 1.7. I have F5. I have three servers, red, green, blue. Okay, now I have a persist profile source address. And there I have a timeout 180 seconds. So what does it mean is, guys, in persistence table also, right? If in 180 second this client does not come again, then it will delete an entry, right? So idle entry should get removed after some time, right? It cannot remain on the table for longer time. It can impact traffic, right? So after 180 seconds also, if my traffic does not come from same client, then that client goes to another server. It can go to another server that will treat it as a new client. So that's what timeout means. So what I will go to virtual server. I will go to this RGB application. This is my virtual server. I will go to resources tab, and here you need to call persistence profile. So I will go here. I will select source address, update. Before that, I will clear the stats. First of all, I will need to check what is the pool of RGB is there. I will go to pool of RGB. I will go to stats, reset. Okay, guys. Now let me access web page. What was my IP address, guys? 192.168.1.80. It is going to red server. Now I will again go. It is going to red server. I have 3 servers, but why it is going to only red server? I can open another private window. Still it will go to the red server. I can open another browser. Why it is going to the red server? Anyone, guys? It should, I have a load balancing, right? I have F5 with red, green, blue, and I've enabled round robin. But why again and again it's going to red server? Anyone? Because source address persistence is enabled. Now, if I change the IP address, this is my Windows machine. This is not my XP machine. Here, this IP is 192.168.1.7. Now, I will go to XP machine. In XP machine, guys, will it go to red server or any other server? Let's see. Green server. I will open Mozilla Firefox. Green server. I will open private Ignoto window. Green server. So are you getting me? When IP is getting changed, persistence table is creating for that user. My Windows machine is going to red server. My XP machine is going to green server. So how to check the table? Go to statistics, module statistics, local traffic. Here you need to go to persistence record. Can you see? I need to enable one of the feature for the record. This command I will run on my putty. So in production, you don't need to enable, it's enabled, but in lab, I'm just enabling it so that it can show me persistence table. You don't need to remember this command, just copy paste tmsh. I will run this. Now I will refresh and I will access the page quickly. Red server, still it's going to red server. Now I will check on XP machine. 80, green server. Now, if I go to persistence, I will show you how to go. Go to statistics tab, how to check the persistence record. Module statistics, local traffic. Here you need to check statistics type, select persistence. Now, can you see this? My Windows laptop IP which I am using is 1.5, my XP machine. Here it's giving you all the record. What is the mode? what is the virtual server they are connected, what is the pool, and what is the pool member. And can you see this age? After this age gets expired, I'm not doing any transactions or anything. Once it gets expired, it will delete this persistence record and it can go to another server. Let's say I have this machine 192.168.1.5. It's going to red server, but I will now not access. I will not do any transaction now from this IP address. Next time, let's check what happens. Refresh. See 148 seconds, 151. We will wait for some time. After 180 seconds have been crossed, these entries will get deleted. If there is no transaction, if I refresh, let's say, then timeout will again get reset. But I'm not doing, I need to show you. Everything it shows, which server, which client IP is going to the which server. That is how F5 looks over the persistence record. Next time, if same client request come, F5 will check this table and it will forward the request to the same server. Simple. Just follow step-by-step approach and understand the concept. I can guarantee you, you will get it. So let's see the time. I will refresh. See guys, now anyone, my Windows XP machine, I will refresh. Will it still go to green server? Let's see. I'll cross. Can anyone tell? Will it still go to the green server? Now I will refresh. See guys, it has changed because my persistence entry has been removed. Initial request was it. Previously it was going to green server, now it's going to red server due to load balancing. Now I will see whether this persistence entry, see, again new thing, new IP is coming. Previously it was 31, now 30. Now I will check this also. See, now it has removed my laptop entry address. Now I will access. It should go to another server. Which server it goes? Blue server. Can you see this? A new server it has selected. I will refresh. New private window. I will go again. So that is an example of persistence, source address persistence, where same client, when comes to F5, it's redirecting to the same server. Multiple requests from a same client is going to the same server. But if you don't have persistence, then maybe one same client can go to this server, or this server. Next time if request come, maybe it goes to server 2, server 3, because I have load balancing algo. Okay, so that is what is called HTTP source address. We will talk about cookie, but this is source address based persistence. Now, I hope you can do the lab for this and you can also practice. So only thing, just need to enable virtual server persistence profile. That's it. Nothing else you need to do it.